Now, for more on the turning tide of tourism to Europe, I'm joined by David Tarsh, a spokesman for ForwardKeys. That's a firm that monitors, analyzes and predicts global travel trends. Welcome to the show.
Good evening, Rochelle.
Now, what's led to this rebound in tourism in European countries despite all that's happening security-wise?
Well, it's a great report you had just now, and the answer is really what one would call pent-up demand. A lot of these terror attacks that happened last year happened in the main booking season. A lot of people were keen to come to Europe, but didn't come, so they've been longing to come, and now that there hasn't been any of this negative news, they've come bounding back, and that's what you've picked up.
And David, how is this rebound being felt by the local residents and businesses?
Well, generally, one has to say that tourism is a fantastic export business. You know, when the tourists come, your hotels are full, your restaurants are busy, your theatres are active, your taxi drivers are happy. So generally, across Europe, one has to say the #1 reaction is delight to see the business.
And David, would you say that the bulk of the tourists traveling from other parts of Europe are the ones that we're seeing the most versus, say, visitors from beyond the continent?
Well, we're seeing both, actually. What we've got is two trends going on. First of all, Europeans have traditionally gone to North Africa and the Eastern Mediterranean. They also fell victim of some terror attacks, and so they have thought, well, where do they go? And a lot of them are going to Spain and to Italy, and so there's a lot of crowding in those destinations. What we're also seeing is that the economy's been pretty good, and the major outbound markets and inbound markets into Europe have been fantastic. The United States in particular, which is a very big, strong market, it's been up 15% for the first half of the year, and forward bookings are 19% up for Europe. It's incredibly good.
So which places have tended to be the favorite spots for tourists?
One has to pick top of the list where I'm talking to you from, London. London has just on its own 12% of the market share of visitors into Europe, and at the moment the forward bookings for London are 14% ahead, and that's down to a number of factors. First of all, we've got the dreadful collapse in the value of sterling, which is not good for me when I go on holiday, but it's fabulous for Americans when they come here. We've got the fact that London of itself is an absolute fabulous destination. So it's a must-see destination for really anybody who's first time into Europe. But then of the other cities, we're seeing top of the list, Madrid, forward bookings are 26% ahead, Amsterdam 22% ahead, Milan is 18% ahead, Barcelona 12% ahead, Paris 13% ahead, Rome and Istanbul 10% ahead. It's a very good picture for tourism business in Europe.
And David, are there any interesting travel trends you've noticed or that you see on the horizon in Europe, whether it's the type of vacations people are taking or how much they're spending?
Well, definitely they're spending well. We have two markets that are famous for their spending. The Americans are big spenders, and so when they come to London, whilst some of them will say it's an expensive city, it's less expensive than it's been for Americans for about 30 years. And the other great spenders are the Chinese. Fascinating to see that when the Chinese travel to Europe, they come prepared to spend in a really serious way, and they are.
And just quickly, the biggest selling point and the biggest challenge when it comes to a European vacation, what would you say those are?
The biggest selling point is definitely the culture, the variety. London cities are incredibly close together. They're marvelous cultural diversity. Things like restaurants that people love is also terrific. In terms of challenges, we've got a minor issue with overcrowding. It's so popular. And what we're seeing with that one issue is some protests in one or two of the absolute hotspots like Venice and Barcelona. And the way that the cities are responding is that they're looking at the lettings market by small individuals. So there's a bit of an attack on people like Airbnb and a clampdown looking to try and license those lettings, which until now haven't really been licensed, and that'll help, I think, to some extent manage demand and some local disquiet.
All right, well, thank you so much. We'll have to leave
minor.
it there. David Tarsh, spokesman for ForwardKeys.